Mr. President, I grew up in a wonderful small town in Louisiana called Zachary. Now, today, Zachary is a city. It's 5 times larger than the days I spent there growing up, because Zachary, a number of years ago, got very serious about improving elementary and secondary education. Mr. President, you know something about that. So Zachary is much larger today. And if anyone ever doubts that growth and economic development is centered around quality public education, all you have to do is look at Zachary. But when I grew up in Zachary, it was very small. 1 stoplight. We were so small we didn't have a town drunk. Several people had to take turns. But I loved it. I loved Zachary High School. I know some people did not like high school. I am not one of them. I cared about 2 things: basketball and cheerleaders. And I wasn't very good at either one, but I had fun trying. I also loved baseball, Mr. President, in part because my dad, my late father, was a baseball fan. And I was an okay fielder in baseball, but I had to quit the sport because I couldn't hit a curve. I was okay with a fastball, but I couldn't hit a curve. And I remember my coach telling me, "Kennedy, keep your eye on the ball. Okay? Keep your eye on the ball." And I tried, but I just couldn't do it. My purpose in rising today, Mr. President, is to suggest that we should keep our eye on the ball. We are faced with many difficult issues in the Senate today. We always are, but I think that's especially true today. My colleague, Senator Cornyn, just talked about one: immigration. Of course, the war in Ukraine is on everyone's mind, and I could go on and on and on. But I don't want my colleagues to forget about one of the most important issues of all facing the American people today, and that is the cost of living in our extraordinary country: inflation. In my state, the median household income for a family of 4 is about $55,000. That means half of our families make more and half of our families make less. But the mean is $55,000 for a family of 4. As a result of President Biden's inflation, and as an aside, I would note, I say this with no joy whatsoever, inflation in America today is man-made, and that man's name is President Joe Biden. In my state, where the mean household income is $55,000, the average American family is paying $800 a month more, a month, not a year, a month more, to live in this wonderful country as a result of Bidenomics. That's $9,600 a year that a family of 4 making $55,000 a year has to find. And my people, Mr. President, they have maxed out their credit cards, and they've spent their savings, and they've borrowed money, and they have had to take money out of their children's 529 college savings program. It is strangling my people. It's not any better in other states. I looked at the numbers this morning. What we call core inflation, or what we call overall inflation, it right now is about 3.7%. Core inflation, if you take out food and energy prices, as many of the economists like to do, is 4.3%. So 3.7% overall, 4.3% if you take out food and energy. Now, we're doing better. A year ago, those numbers were double. But I'm so pleased that inflation has fallen just a bit. But I want you to understand what that means. Falling inflation just means that prices they're still rising, but they're not rising as fast as they were. Let me say that again. Falling inflation just means prices are still going up every month, every day, but they're not going up as fast as they were. We call that disinflation. Falling inflation also means that prices overall are not going down. That's deflation. My point is, even though inflation is falling, and I am so glad it is, all that means is that prices are not going up as fast as they were, and we're going to be stuck with these high prices. They're going to be permanent, even if inflation goes to zero. What does that mean? Well, let's look at basic goods. Even if inflation goes to zero tomorrow, since February of 2021, electricity is up 24%. We're stuck with that. When inflation falls, electricity is not going to go back down to where it was. We're going to continue to pay 24% more. In gas, in Louisiana, gas is up 71%. We're stuck with that, even if inflation falls to zero. Eggs are up 28%. Potato chips are up 28%. Bread, 28%, permanent. Coffee, 30%. Rice, 28%. Flour, 29%. Milk, 17%. Ice cream, 20%. Chicken, per pound, 24%. And that's why the American people, in large part, are struggling so economically. You should not have to sell blood plasma in America, the wealthiest country in all of human history, in order to go to the grocery store. It's not any worse. Our inflation, which I'm afraid these higher prices, as I said, are going to be permanent. It's not any better if you look at necessities by category, Mr. President. All goods, as a result of President Biden's inflation, starting in February of 2021 and running through today, all goods are up an average of 17%. How many American families have seen their income go up 17%? Not many. Food, all food, an average is 19%. Housing is up 16%. Clothing is up 10%. Used cars and trucks are up 32%. And even if we can get inflation down to zero, we're going to be stuck with those prices. New cars are up 20%. Mortgage rates are up 161%. Mr. President, let me end as I began. We have a lot of issues that we're struggling with right now. But among the five things that moms and dads in America worry about when they lie down to sleep at night and can't is the cost of living in our wonderful country. And these are the people who made this extraordinary country. America is not great because of the federal government. America is great because of ordinary people doing extraordinary things. People who just get up every day, go to work, obey the law, pay their taxes, try to do the right thing by their kids. President Biden's inflation is strangling a free people. The American people deserve better. And I don't want us to lose sight of that fact as we grapple with other important issues. Thank you, Mr. President. I do not suggest the absence of a quorum. I yield the floor. How about that?